Hello, friends. I hope I'm doing this right. I'm just trying to figure this whole live thing out right now. So here we go. Welcome. It's Monday afternoon, and I'm just learning all about this new going live on Facebook, trying to figure it out. Figured out I couldn't use my computer, had to figure out how to use it on my phone. So, hi friends, welcome. I'm so glad some of you are starting to join me. Thank you for being here. I'm be really honest, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, but you're here and I see you and some of you are waving and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you for joining me and for being a part of this. I'm trying to do something new, and I think that I'm doing this because I do something new. We're all doing something new right now. We're in a pandemic and trying to discover new things. And so I thought, why not try it too? I'm going to try something. There we go. Yes. Okay. So, thank you. I see more of you joining in today on this time, and I'm so grateful for that you're here and you're joining me and we're figuring this out together. This is my first time going live. Oh my goodness. Who knew that we could do this? So, thanks for the waves. Thanks for the hellos. Those of you who are just joining me right now, I'm just grateful that you've jumped in and taken a few minutes out of your day to join me on this call on your Monday holiday. And this is a chance for me to share a little bit about what I think is happening and how I'm feeling about going back to work, like so many of you are. What I think about schools reopening and teachers heading back to the classroom. How many of you are feeling, and I just thought I would take a few time to connect with so many of you here. So, what I would really love to see, I see some of you saying hello and hi. Let's start with a one-word check-in. How are you feeling right now? Those of you who've just joined us, if you don't mind, throw in a check-in with a word so I can sense who's out there, how you're feeling, what's going on. How are you feeling about going back to work this week? If you're in BC, if you're in the area, I'd love to know a little bit more. I see a few of you more just joining in. I'm so grateful for that you're here right now. Thank you for coming in and meeting me here today and joining me on this call. Here we are. Thank you. Hi, Kristen. Oh my goodness. Jenny's a bit anxious. Me too, right now. This is my first live call. And I kind of got the holy, I'm doing this. We're doing this. We're going live. We're going to figure this out together. One of the very first things, happy and scared. Yeah, Megan, I get this. Hi, Gail. Oh, thanks for joining. Kristen's feeling optimistic. I'm just asking people from jumping in. Carol from Vernon, thanks for being here. I was just asking people to say a little bit of a joining in and telling me how you're feeling. Yeah, Ren, happy and anxious. It's amazing. We can hold both of those in at the same time, right? We can be sad and scared and yet grateful, or we can be happy and anxious. Like, we have this container to be able to hold both at the same time. So thank you for sharing, some of you, and for letting me know where you're calling in from or where you're joining from. So those of you who are just jumping in here with me, my name is Lisa Bayless. I'm a high school counselor and teacher here in Victoria, British Columbia. I have a strong passion on supporting the well-being of educators, and I love to do it from the lens of mindfulness and self-compassion specifically. And I'm just noticing that many of us, especially in the Victoria district, we're starting to go back to work this week, and we're starting to go back into the classrooms, and teachers are being asked, especially in the next 2 weeks. And I just wanted to take a few minutes and to connect with some of my colleagues and my educators who, like Linda, are maybe feeling super anxious and maybe feeling super overwhelmed about heading back. And I just thought we could take a few minutes together to just sort of share some of those feelings and talk about some strategies and to talk a little bit about where we're all coming from. So thanks for dropping in a few feelings of how you're feeling and where you're calling in from. It's really nice to see so many people joining me today. One of the very first things that I did when we went into this pandemic is I went for a walk and I listened to the Brené Brown podcast, the FFT one. And Last night I didn't sleep very much because I was really excited and anxious about joining this call. Like, this is my FFT. This is my first time going live on Facebook. And I think it was one of those things that I'm super worried and also excited at the same time. And maybe some of you are feeling that same way about, going back to school, having the opportunity to see your colleagues and your friends, and at the same time, being a little bit nervous about something that's new to us. And so if you don't know what an FFT is, if you haven't listened to the Brené Brown podcast, maybe just cover your ears or cover your headphones if there's any little ones around, because I'm going to say say something out loud here. FFT is a fucking first time. And we're all in this right now. And this is what Brené Brown called it. And I loved it because it really resonated with me about, one, being in a pandemic, and two, trying new things. And she also calls them the TFTs for our kids, the tricky first times. And throughout the last 8 weeks, when I've been home with my kids, we've been using this language a lot. This is new. The first time we do anything, it's really, really hard. And we've been going through a lot of TFTs in our house, right? We've been going through and saying, wow, the first time you try anything, usually we fall on our face, or we make mistakes, or we stumble over our words, or it just feels uncomfortable. So last night I was lying in bed worrying about this going live here and thinking about how I was going to connect with you all and try and interact and try and share some of my thoughts. And I just kept thinking in my head, this is the first time. And we have to do our first times because it only gets easier after. And I share a little bit about that because I also think this is our first time going back to schools after being out from a pandemic. We're kind of all in this together right now. Nobody knows really how it feels. And something that was really interesting to me was I put a poll on Instagram and I asked people, how are you feeling about going back? Are you concerned about it? And, there was a lot of people concerned. I think it was like 88% of the educators were saying, yeah, I'm really worried. I'm anxious. And some of the things that you were saying too here about going back. But not everybody was. And what I noticed is the people who said, no, I'm really excited to go back. Some of those people had been in the building. A lot of them were our administrators and our educators that have been in there and have been feeling safe in our building. And I thought that was really interesting because it's showing us that sometimes our perceived expectation is what's causing our anxiety and our worries. And I just want to just check in and talk and spend some time with maybe a few of you who are maybe having that perceived worry. Because yeah, there is some real huge concerns and we're worried about our safety. But we also have to start to slow down a little bit and trust in, the people who have been doing the work to help get us set up for it. And so this is a couple of the things I want to start with. First is that word trust. And it's been really, really moving around in my head a little bit about, trusting the people that are helping us, but also trusting ourselves. So when I first said I was going live, I asked a whole bunch of questions and I was like, what do you want to know? And it was so interesting to me. The things that people asked were things like how do I manage my own kids when I'm back in school? Or how do I, what's the impact on the mental health going to be of our kids when we have to meet them in the classroom? Or how do we create a meaningful end of the year? Or what are some really fun ways to invite kids back? And it was so fascinating to me that many of us as educators, when we're thinking about this, the questions that we're asking is, how do we support our kids? And I wanted to drop in here today and spend some time talking to you, not necessarily about what do we need to do for our kids, but what do we need to do for ourselves. And sometimes that's hard because we tend to be as educators givers, and we tend to be people who want to, oh, Carol, thanks so much. FFTing, I love it. You totally made my day right now. We tend to be people who give and want to do more for our students, but I want us to step back and slow down because here's what I've been seeing, especially with my own kids. I'm a mom of two, and my two are school aged, and what I see is that they are pretty amazing at adapting. And although it may be difficult for them to walk into a classroom where there is a spaced out chairs and seats and that they can't run around and play in the playground like they used to because I know they're missing it, but they're pretty adaptable. And in the end, kids have are pretty quick to learn things. And what I see is us as educators have been doing this for so many years. We forget that the kids are going to be quick to adapt, but we have this lived experience of what education should look like. And I'm wondering if what it would look like to maybe change that expectation a little bit. And this is the thing that I've been thinking a lot about, is instead of focusing on what do we need to do to support the kids, what I would really love to spend just a few minutes with you today is talking about what do we need to do to support us. Because when we show up and look these kids in the eyes and we light up because we're just so happy to see them, their kids are going to be safe. They just need a calm and connected and happy person who's going to say, I'm just happy you're back and we're here together. I'm just pausing for a moment. I realized what Gail said. I went in last week and I was not really worried about the virus, but messing up the rules. Yeah, so we have these other constraints on us right now, right? We're not quite sure, how do we walk down this hallway, and you know, where do we spray, and how do we do this, and who do we meet? And so things are totally going to be different. And I think one of the things that we need to do is give ourselves permission to slow down, really, and trust that we have this in us. Trust ourselves. And this is the big piece that I want to talk about today. I'm gonna get you to, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. But I really want us to remember, us as educators, we know we've been doing this for years. We know how to meet kids. We know how to connect. What happens though is we go in anxious and worried and overwhelmed. These kids are going to pick up and feed off of that, and they're going to know that we're feeling that. But if we go in and we slow down and we recognize that we are calm and we are happy to see them, they are going to be able to do exactly what it is that whatever it is that they need from us, right? And so I have a few things that I want to share with you today. I want to take some questions if anybody has them. I want to talk a little bit about why we need to treat ourselves with some mindfulness and some self-compassion as we head back into school, and why I think it's the most important piece. I think that when we start to pay attention to where we are, we really give ourselves permission to be in this moment. The thing with anxiety and worry is it's all about our future thinking. You know, sort of how Gail said something earlier, you know, you go in, you don't even realize all the problems that are going to be there, and then you create more problems, and we get into this cycle of worry and trying to shift and change. We think we know what's going to happen when we walk in the first day of school, but really we don't, and so we come up with all kinds of worries. The thing is all we can do is whatever's in front of us in this exact moment. We need to model calm. Gail, I love it. You're right on line with me. We need to model calm. We need to go in and we need to be present, and we need to help our students and help our colleagues recognize that this is exactly what they need. And I have to say that this is being done so well in my district from so many of the leaders that I work with. I'm so privileged and so happy that when I go in and I talk about my fears and my worries, they're the first ones that say, you know, we hear you, you're not alone. Your worries are valid, and we're really, you know, we just need to go slow and treat them with compassion and with care. And so, as I'm sort of talking about a little bit of compassion and care and mindfulness, I just maybe want to say Raymond Lau from China. Hi, Raymond. Thanks for joining today. It's really lovely that you're here. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm going to take a few minutes to maybe ask any questions or thoughts before I jump into some of the points that I want to make, that I want to offer you as you head back into your classes this week or next week. This is so exciting for my first Facebook Live to see so many people here and joining me and having this conversation with me. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining. I'm going to take a breath, and here's what I want to share with you is I want to share my 4C's that I think we need as we head into school, back to slowly integrating back into schools during a time of COVID. So 4C's, let's do them. My first C is courage. Courage. And I think this is that heart-centered, deep courage that we need right now, because you know what? We're all going through something new. We're all going through something that's different. And you know what? Whenever we go through something new, whenever we try something new, whenever we have this FFT, It's difficult. We struggle through first times. And so when we have the courage to remind ourselves that, one, we're not alone, and two, to ask for help if we need it, three, to go really slow and to just be really aware of what's going on for us. Courage to feel our feelings, to allow ourselves to have the feelings without judging them, to be able to understand that it's okay to be exactly who you are in this moment, in this time of pandemic, in this time of reintegrating into schools. So the courage to trust yourself and trust that you have the skills to meet our students and to connect with them and to be present with them. So first C is courage. I think we all need to tap into that. This is that deep heart-centered courage that's going to help us. My second C is this ability to continue to connect. You know, even though we've been, distantly socializing and isolating in many different ways, one of the most important things is we need to keep connecting, because we haven't figured this out yet, and we're all doing it for the first time. And as we go through this and connecting, this is a sign where we get to support each other. One of the components of self-compassion that we often share is that there's this beautiful idea of common humanity. And this is the time where common humanity is so beautiful right now. We're all in this together. We're all trying to figure out how to return to normal. We're all trying to figure out and what is the new normal, and how do we shift, and how do we support each other. But we can't do that alone. And so reaching out, talking to someone, continuing to share these conversations, enjoying, the colleagues that you are going to connect with again, even if it's from afar, meeting our students with a look of love and joy in our eyes so that they know that they're welcome. Having the opportunity to really continue to connect with each other is going to be so important as we continue to move forward, as we welcome our students back to school. My third C is care. So courage, connect, and then care. And care is all about this practice for really caring for ourselves, really being aware of what we need in any given moment, and paying attention and being present with our own needs. Because here's the thing, I know I'm really good at holding space and giving and caring for many, many other people. And when I continue to do that, when I continue to show up at school and I continue to be with my students and my colleagues, but I forget to take care of this piece, I don't function very well. And what happens is, if we're not paying attention to that piece, we're going to continue to be givers and we're going to forget to fill up our own cup. So a real strong invitation that through all of these challenges, through all of these new days, and some of these new opportunities of connection and having courage, is to really care for ourselves and to meet that care. To, we ask this question is, what do I really need? And really taking some time to figure it out. What is it that you really need right now, so that you can be present and supporting yourself, your student, and your colleagues. So I've been talking about the 4C's. The first was courage, the second was connect, the third is care, and my fourth is this beautiful piece of compassion. Compassion literally means to meet suffering and want to alleviate it. And the thing is in this time of this COVID pandemic and this time of reintegrating into our community, there is a lot of fear and a lot of worry. And the concept around compassion is that we meet that fear and worry and we try and support it. And for many of us, we're going to want to reach out to other people and continue to offer compassion, to offer care and support and love and kindness. But I also want to give that invitation to meet yourself with that piece too. That when you start to struggle and get overwhelmed, the best gift you can offer yourself in any given moment is just a moment to pause and say, what do I need to really care for myself? And then to treat yourself in a kind way, the way you may perhaps treat your best friend or your dear one or your loved child or even a student. Because when we can pause enough to treat ourselves with kindness, we give ourselves enough moments to be present again. So those are my 4C's that I hope that maybe we can think about as we're heading back. Because, I was really worried about going back too. I had a lot of fear and anxiety when I first was told that maybe I'd have to go back. The tears were just streaming down my face. It scared me. But I've sort of been using these 4 practices. I've been tapping into my own courage and thinking, what do I need to do? How do I help myself? Knowing I'm not alone, that other people are feeling this way has really helped. And then I went out and I connected and I talked to my administration team who's been in my school working so hard and doing so many great things. And they helped me feel a little bit safer. I talked to my colleagues who've been in, and I recognize that I'm not alone, and that although there seems to be some worry around what if, I don't have controls over those what ifs. I get to just be here in this moment, and I get to just be in control of what's happening right now. And so then with all of that, I've taken the time to really care for myself. I've been making sure that I fill myself up so I can be present with others. And I'm holding everything in that compassion, that nice cup of compassion. Because as we started with, we can have, worry and excitement all in the same container. That we have this container of compassion that helps us, continue on and grow and be with the people that we love and be with ourselves. So I think the best thing that we need to do to move forward over this week and the coming weeks is we need to slow down. Woo, let's have a slow down movement. I know it's been said a lot, but that slow down movement has been so great through our districts that have been saying this. We need to keep it up, but not just at systemic level. We need to slow down what's happening for us. And when we do that, we get to then be present and engage with our students and our colleagues and everybody that's going to be joining us when we get back into our schools. So although I was really anxious about going back to school and I was really worried in the beginning and, I was concerned, my fear has started to come down because I've been paying attention to these 4C's. Courage, connection, care, and compassion. And when I've paid attention to those, I'm really excited. I'm going in tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to seeing some of my colleagues. I'm looking forward to knowing that while I'm there, I know that I'm going to have a fear response at different times. I'm going to get anxious. But you know what? We have the tools to slow down and not rush through any of this. And if we can be mindful through the practice and really give ourselves the practice to just be still when those moments come up, name the feelings. We get to feel our feelings through this, people. We get to feel our feelings, and it's okay to do so. When we do that and we can name it and we can meet it with just a bit of tenderness, then we can be present with our kids and our colleagues. And, and very gently we'll move back into schools. And I'm really excited to be going back to seeing my colleagues and my students and to find a way to connect, because it's not going to be the same. And like I started with, our kids, they're not going to be the ones that are not going to be okay with this. It's us that's so different. We've been doing this system in education for the last however many years for you. I know for me, it's been, 16 years of being in an education system that's always looked the same. It's not the same anymore. And we can't expect to try and control it to make it the same again. We get to create a new system. And that system, I believe, is a slowed down one that allows me to trust myself and my colleagues. And it opens for those 4C's. Courage, connection, care, and compassion. Those are my 4C's, friends. So I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm so glad you're here. If you're still here and you want to throw me another, how are you doing now after we've talked about this a little bit, I would love to hear. Thanks for jumping in. And Gail was saying opportunities for courage and connection. There's lots of those. Thanks, Linda. I hope that we can all come into the coming weeks as we meet our students and our colleagues with a little bit of this. I'm really thrilled that we get to use these practices of being mindful and meeting it all in a compassionate lens is going to be a really exciting way to change our education system. To have a compassionate system and a loving and kind and slowed down, caring, mindful system. I think a new system sounds lovely too, Gail. Those of you who are just jumping in and saying hello, thanks for joining us. This is my just gentle, loving reminder that as we head back into schools this week, that we get the opportunity to slow down and to be present. Courage, connection, care, and compassion, my secret sauce. Those are my 4C's as we live through the time of COVID, as we move back into our schools. So BC here, we're opening up, we're coming back into our classrooms. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to slow down our system, to actually meet everybody where they're at too. One of the other exciting pieces is that there's going to be more time for that connection and to find out what our students and our colleagues really need in all of this. And, you know, again, I want to say that word, trust yourself. Because as educators, you've been doing this work for so many years. You know how to do this work. It's not that. And if we're worried about our kids, when we show up and we show them a light in our eyes that says, we're just so happy to see you, they're going to be safe and they're going to be well and they're going to be happy. You were so welcome, Shannon. Thank you for being here. So those are my last few thoughts. I just wanted to give a few minutes on this Monday. It's a holiday here in BC, and I just wanted to share some of my ideas that maybe can help us trust ourselves and go back into school with the 4C's of courage, connection, care, and compassion, offering those lens for all of them. And yeah, light up those kids by, you know, being present, being aware, and being compassionate for ourselves first. It's really going to start with us. Thank you. That's it. That's all I wanted to share, but I'm really happy to stay on and just say thanks for being here. And I'm so grateful for my many colleagues who've joined me. And I hope that we continue to have these conversations. And I've done it. I've worked through my first live show. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. And I hope we'll do this again. And I'm going to continue to share my things and what I believe in around mindfulness and compassion and a system that I think believes it and needs it. Much love to all. With much warmth and kindness and compassion to all of you. Have a really lovely Monday evening, and good luck as you head back into your classrooms, and good luck as you meet your students. Remember that your presence matters most. Trust yourselves. You're amazing. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Thanks for showing up today and joining me. I really appreciated it. Big love to you too, Jenny. I'm so glad you were here. Thanks, Cindy. Hugs to you back. I can't wait for moving beyond virtual hugs, right? Like, let's do real ones. It's going to be so good one day. In our new system. Yay. Bye, everybody.